Good evening. We are mourning the sudden loss of a very memorable and much-loved member of our City Pulse family. Colin Vaughan, our longtime political specialist, succumbed to a heart attack at his home early this morning. He was 68. Gord Martineau takes a look back at the life of our colleague and dear friend.
Colin Vaughan was one of Canada's best-known political reporters. He was a mainstay at City TV. And although it's going to take quite some time to get over the shock of his death, we will never really be able to fill the vacuum created by his departure. Here's a brief look back at the life of a legend. He soon made his mark, first as an architect. He and his firm were designers of the Canada Pavilion at Expo 67 and the interior of the then O'Keefe Centre. But hoping to stop the Spadina Expressway and see more downtown housing, Colin left the firm to run for City Council, serving 2 terms. Among his long-lasting accomplishments, the official plan of Toronto and the city home concept.
One of the reasons that Toronto is such an exciting city is that it's so unpredictable.
Always at the forefront of his times, Colin Vaughan was one of the first to embark on a midlife career change, from architecture, planning, and politics to television journalism.
Colin conferred upon us because we were awfully young and just getting going and not very well healed with equipment or people. What Colin did is he conferred his credibility upon us, and we never really looked back, and we owe a good deal of that momentum to Colin Vaughan.
When Colin first marched through the doors of City TV in 1977, it was to take a more aggressive path with a wider influence and have downright fun harassing his former mates.
When Colin came bounding through the door, striding as if the office is actually his office and not your office, he'd say, "How you done, mate?" You knew that you're going to be in for a bit of a tumble. It was going to be a bit of a push and shove, but for me at any rate, it was part of the play, and I loved him for it.
Year after year, he kept his enthusiasm, never letting go of the dog's tail. As then Prime Minister Brian Mulroney once remarked, "When most people come to Toronto, they think of the CN Tower. When I come here, I think of Colin Vaughan." Politicians of all sizes and stripes underwent a visible change of mood when Colin entered the room.
What do you say about this 16-page effort by one of your backbench MPs? 16 pages. That's the biggest I've ever seen ever come out of Queensburg.
Well,
do you want to have a look at it?
No, but if you want me to take a look at it, I'd be glad to, and I hope it's factual.
Well, it's just full of usual political BS. There's nothing there of great interest to people. It's just 16 pages of nonsense. You get that, but all of this goes.
Whatever they give us, we're still going to do this anyway.
Recently, Colin's passion for the civilized city, the vibrant downtown neighborhoods, the disdain for suburban sprawl and its economic clout, made him an impassioned opponent of the megacity.
There's nobody who can come up with the questions that Colin Vaughan came up with. He came out with the most outrageous questions you could ever imagine, but these are the questions that people wanted answered.
But for Colin, it was a badge of honor to be a thorn in your side. Often it was more than a thorn.
Our television audience would only get slices of Colin. They'd never get the complete picture. They'd never get the complete man. They'd see him as tremendously dynamic and wonderfully intelligent. But they should know that Colin had a heart that was as large as his spirit, and he could be so wonderfully sweet at times, and we loved him for that.
23 years ago, when I first came to City TV to get involved in a brand new concept in television news called City Pulse, one of the first things I did was look around to see who was on the team. We didn't have much, but we had Colin Vaughan. His boundless enthusiasm and confidence inspired us all. His death leaves a huge hole in our lives, both personally and professionally.
Such sad news. The family has not yet made funeral arrangements. We'll let you know when they're finalized. We move on now to the rest